a story of success which is utterly phenomenal. A career in IT, in virtual payment technology, the birth of a daughter in 2005, and then subsequently a strong desire to make work eventually more passionate for her. In London she learned soap making. Back in Dubai she started with a home production for soaps, and today she is the largest manufacturer of homemade camel soap on the globe.
To talk about my journey into manufacturing, please come now, Stevi Lowmass.
My name is Stevi Lowmass, and I am the owner of the camel soap factory. Not soaps for camels, as I explained to a young 10-year-old who was in the factory last year, but soaps for human beings, made with really beautiful natural oils and with camel milk. And I'm honoured to be speaking to you all. If I asked myself 40 years ago would I have been an entrepreneur, I would have laughed. And to a certain extent, my journey into entrepreneurship has actually been to find some balance in my life. My dad was an entrepreneur, and my dad took risks. He made amazing decisions. I was really, really, really proud of him. But I liked the safe route. I liked the predictable job. I liked the salary every month. I loved the company car, and I liked the title. And I would not have seen myself as a risk taker. So how did it happen, and what was the catalyst for this journey? I'd also love to say that starting a business was all about my vision and my planning and my great business skills and my superb entrepreneurial skills. And there might be an element of that, because you can't really be in business for 40 years and not learn something. But my story is actually much about how things simply happen because you're ignorant of just how hard it's going to be. I worked as a systems engineer for a mainframe company for 15 years, and then got involved in what's the payments industry. You all pay with credit cards and terminals. I worked for a software company that used to write the software to drive those terminals. I learned a lot about small companies working for them, and I learned a lot about what not to do. But my life changed when I was 47 years old, and I gave birth to my first child. And I decided that going back to work and the stress and the hours that I was working was simply not compatible with having this daughter that I had wanted so badly. So I stopped work and I tried a few things. I curated 2 art exhibitions. I tried exporting shoes to South Africa. Both the businesses broke even, but none of them made millions. And I've looked really closely at why. And I think there are 4 reasons. Firstly, none of these businesses capitalize on my strengths. Secondly, I didn't do my homework. Third, I think I was really too scared to go for it. And finally, I did not have enough skin in the game. I did not risk enough. So 9 years ago, while traveling through Australia, my husband and I came across a wonderful factory called the Natural Olive Oil Soap Factory. It had a retail outlet and a factory where tourists could come and buy local product and product manufactured at the factory. And I came home with a dream for Dubai. So my first steps were, I needed to learn how to make soap. I had absolutely no idea. And not much in my background in software had prepared me for manufacture. So I found a course in London, and I met my guide and my mentor, Melinda Koss, without whom the factory possibly would never have happened. And I paid her £500 a month those first 6 months, and nothing focuses the mind like paying somebody money when you haven't got much. And that was probably my first real lesson in becoming an entrepreneur, is find a mentor or pay one. If you find somebody who'll coach you to where you aspire to be, getting a helping hand gets you there just that much faster. That journey became so much less risky for me because I could ask somebody who had done it. She'd made mistakes and I could learn from them, and I got from her sane, honest advice. If I'm honest, nowadays I still use coaches, and they've helped us leapfrog targets, and they've helped and taught me that handmade and crafted can also be professional and efficient. The next thing I had to do was learn how to make soap with camel milk. As you can imagine, there's not too many books on the subject, and a lot of camel milk coloured tissue paper, and I took myself down to a little fair at a nursery school in Oopseking, and my soaps looked absolutely beautiful until somebody accidentally set the sprinkler system off, and I lost all my stock that night. And I learned a lot of valuable lessons about packaging, soap and water. So a few weeks later, with a slightly different package labeling, I tried a school Christmas fair. I thought I'd do 2 Christmas fairs that Christmas, but I never made it to the second one because we sold all our stock at the first. And that's when I knew I had to dream a little bigger and a little faster. That story might have stopped actually at art fairs and schools if my husband hadn't challenged me one night, remember the art fair and the shoe business, and said to me, well, are you going to play around with this as a hobby, or are you actually going to start a business, Steve? And I went, I'll show you. And I really went for it in the months that followed. Without local fairs like Arte and like I'm sure many of you are familiar with them, I probably would never have been able to get the business off the ground. Because selling at these fairs helped me refine the product and learn a lot more about who bought the soaps. And this brings me to my lesson number 2, is get close to your customer and stay there. So although we largely sell B2B now, selling directly gives me and the sales team a chance to speak to our customers and really understand what they're looking for and what they care about.
Excuse me.
So with growth, selling at fairs for us has become less of a priority. But we're actually considering in 2019 going back to our roots to do this so that we can get closer to the people who actually buy our soaps. Back in the beginning, when I realized that moving into these bigger and different markets needed a license, I started asking questions about how I was going to get this license. And everybody said to me, impossible to do what you want to do, Steve. I met somebody at a networking event very similar to this, and she said to me, Steve, I think I can help. And she went into the Department of Economic Development and phoned me up after a meeting. This must have been 6 months after I'd really decided to get the license. And said, Steve, they're going to give you a license to operate as an artisan, which means you can continue making your soaps at home, but still have a commercial license and register these products. This was groundbreaking for me and really allowed me to move forward. Similarly, when we were really struggling to work out how we were going to get an industrial license, my same good luck charm came back with good news for me again and said the economic department is going to allow you to convert your license into an industrial license. This actually allowed me to keep a single sponsor, single premises, and made a massive difference to costs, which when you're really, really tiny is massively important. So what have been the major challenges in terms of starting a business? The first and major problem, and this really is an issue I guess with starting in the Middle East, is all your costs are up front. So my costs were up front, which meant my cost of failure was extremely high. The costs are actually the same whether you're large or small, so it's a huge disincentive for starting up. A surprising challenge actually lies in being a manufacturer. The infrastructure in a smaller country is very limited, and that means it's really difficult to outsource parts of your manufacturing to other people. And I remember standing at a talk with a very, very big boat builder here in Dubai, and he was saying, he said he'd faced exactly the same problems. He says, I don't have to just be a boat builder. He said, I've had to learn carpentry, I've had to learn how to upholster, I've had to learn skills that normally in other countries you would outsource, and it's been exactly the same problem for us. Legislation in the UAE related to manufacturing is also not really suited to small manufacture. And one of our earliest challenges was setting up a factory, an industrial license for a handmade product. Nobody could understand why there were no cables leading to our people. We still face massive challenges in terms of what the government thinks constitutes a manufacturing organisation and what we actually do. But we've actually found our way around most of these things by sitting down and speaking to people, and we have found acceptable workarounds in pretty much every case. And finally, I think a most constant challenge has been dealing with counterfeits and cheap knockoffs and copies. The market is flooded now with products which most of you will probably have seen, many of them with little or no camel milk, and almost certainly none of them made in the UAE. The experience has been very powerful for me, actually, and has taught me that I will never knowingly buy a cheap knockoff again. It is so damaging for a small business. So here's lesson number 3 that I learned. Everybody told me that getting a license for making soap at home was never going to work. It was expensive, nobody had done it. I spent months and months and months writing a business plan, considering how I was going to do it. And I happened by chance to read a book called Jump by guys called Ian Sanders and David Slowly. It's all about forgetting the business plan and just going for it. And shutting minds, things like cash flow, for example. I value every staff member we have. They are family to me. What's really important to me in terms of business is I'm true to myself and true to what I believe in. And finally, our goal I've discovered is actually not only profit, but it's also about educating consumers and about educating why the kind of manufacture we do is so important for the UAE. So in all of this, what have I discovered is really important to me, and it's been quite surprising. It was when I was writing a document for the municipality, for those of you in the know, it's technical guideline number 4. I had to get this document in to get the industrial license, and I'd been terrified about having to submit a technical document, and I didn't have enough money to pay a consultant to do it. So I took courage and decided to write it myself. And it was while I was writing that I realized, holy cow, what we do is really good. There were lots of questions about effluent, chemical waste, what we do with waste. And that's when I hit upon our brand value, which I'll read to you. We manufacture product locally, using as many ingredients as possible that are locally sourced, using manufacturing methods that have little environmental impact and generate no waste, creating a product that is both natural and great to use without killing our planet. If I can leave you with anything, these are the thoughts I'd like to leave you with. If you're looking for balance and want to start a business, go for it, but get help. Use friends, pay somebody, use experts, don't try to do it all yourself. Network, network, network. Dubai is the most amazing city for finding people who will give help willingly and freely. Secondly, really understand your customer. Give them what they want, not what you want to give them. Don't stress about the business plan. I think jumping in feet first was probably the best thing actually I ever did in the long run. And understand your business and be prepared to get stuck in and do every single job that your staff do for you every day. I have packaged, I have made soaps, I have made teas, I've washed mops, I've delivered soaps, and it really keeps me in touch with what makes our company special. I often wish I'd started this journey earlier, but everything I am today is coloured by the 40 years experience I've had. I think I'm a much better leader and a much more careful manager. I take chances, but I balance it against what we need to do. I recently worked with a coach who helped us define our purpose, and it's taken me probably 6 years to get to this, and I'd love to leave you with it.
And I finally feel it's a purpose that encapsulates everything that I want to do with this business. We love the UAE, and we want every person who buys a product from the Camel Soap Factory to experience that love. We want to create products that reflect the rich traditions and heritage of the region, so that every product bought brings a little happiness to the person who buys or receives it. Thank you.